Welcome to Bare Essential on Fitness, where we will talk on different aspects of fitness and have special guests such as local athletic directors and coaches. Also be able to meet trainers and locally and nationally to get their expertise and their aspects on different sports as well as the training that they get. Thank you very much. Viewers and listeners, today at Bare Fitness Essentials for training, I have the privilege to have Kevin from Restorative Spot on here. He's a local business that helps those not only athletes with injuries, but also adults that have different issues. He will be talking about all the different things he's got, which may take about the whole time because this gentleman has so many voodoo devices that are used at the higher levels that it's amazing. So, Kevin, can you tell the viewers and the listeners a little bit about you? I know one thing that was interesting when we first met is you didn't start in this field. You actually started in a whole different one too. So tell about yourself and how'd you get into it?
Well, thank you. My name's Kevin Heber. I started Restorative Spot a few years ago. I've done it on the side for quite some time. I had gotten hurt playing football in college, and so that kind of got me turned on to alternatives other than surgery. And a lot of the things are not available to the general public unless you're at a D1 school or professional level. So when I sold my other business, I decided that I was going to do something that I really enjoyed and I wanted to be able to help people. So I've kind of went into the alternative to traditional medicine. So everything from being just general massage all the way to trying to fix problems. And as Chris mentioned, I've got quite a inventory of different machines and technologies that, like I said, is available to the professional athletes and the D1 athletes a lot of times, but it's not really available to the general public. So I've got, a lot of everything from age groupers, people like me that think we're still 18 and do stupid things, to I've got current professional athletes, I've got former NFL players, I've got, high schoolers, and I've got, grade schoolers, and I've got geriatrics that have issues. So it's really well-rounded for just about everybody.
So so I know, what is a normal procedure when somebody comes in there, if they go, I've got a pain. So how do you work with them?
Typically, we'll do a intake sheet and we'll talk about what their chief complaint is, what is bothering them, what brings them into me, what's going on, what are they having troubles, what exercises or what just movement is making it worse or better. And then we will do a series of different manual muscle testing and different diagnostic type exercises to just see what is doing it. Because like, Chris has seen a number of times as well, what may, be something like a neck pain, maybe down in your hips is what's causing it. So we just try to, through a short interview and some very simple, just by muscle testing, seeing how different muscles move and interact with others, and just generally looking and talking to the people, which seems to be gone in today's medicine, is, they just want to get you in and out in 5 to 15 minutes and give you a prescription. So I work with a number of physicians, surgeons, and so, yeah, if I'm not above saying it's over my head, we need to, there's definitely a place for traditional medicine. I've done, I've taught up in Canada, and, there's some great things about it, but then, if I'm in a trauma situation, I want to be heard here in the States. If, for preventative, we're like a third world country, and most of my stuff comes under preventative or alternative. I don't I don't take insurance, so it's all private pay. But what I can do is usually help people out in a short period of time. And then the other thing is I give them things they can do on their own to keep improving and, getting so they do not need me, because, it's pointless if it only lasts for a week and then you have to keep coming back. So that's the reason, I give them some rehabilitation type things to do and then get them back over to like you or whatever to go back to their sport, or to get somebody that's going to be doing a good job of training them versus some of these coaches that are hurting them instead of actually teaching them.
So say somebody can't, what are some of the machines that you would use? Like say they had a shoulder issue.
Okay.
You've used a couple on me, just to show me what it is, but I know some of my tennis players and, basketball players had come over to you for knee and shoulder. So what type of machines would you use, say for a shoulder?
Typically, I start with just manual touch and feeling how the joint moves, how the muscle moves, and seeing how the body moves in relation to that. Then a lot of times I'll use what is known as myofascial release, which is a type of massage which is just kind of opening up the fascial tissues. Instead of just making it feel good for a short period, it gives a long lasting effect. From there, a lot of times I'll do what's known as ART, or active release techniques, which are more muscle stretching and muscle interactions. It works with nerve entrapments, muscle entrapments, and tightness. So after we find that, we do some of these different techniques on, let's say, the shoulder, and it's still tight or there's still issues, a lot of times we'll use what's known as sound shock wave, or extracorporeal shockwave therapy, ESWT. It goes under a number of different type of names. And what that does is it's the same technology as what they use for breaking up kidney stones. However, when they do that, it's a very focalized unit. What mine is a radial unit, so it spreads out very fast and very wide pattern, and it doesn't go as deep. So I don't have to worry about causing harm by not having, the imaging and all that type of stuff to see exactly what it is. But you're working in the muscle bodies and things. And I actually did about a month-long internship up in Canada to get trained on that, because here in the States, there wasn't anybody that's really doing extensive training on that. So that is one of my favorites. It works great for musculature. It works great for breaking up adhesions. It works great for even calcium deposits, plantar fasciitis, any number of different things. One of the big things you'll see it advertised here in the States for is erectile dysfunction, funny enough. And, they operate that under the, one of the big companies that advertises that as Gainswave. So, it's used for all types of things here in the States, but not really for the athletic side, unless, like I said, like the Division I schools and most of the professional sports teams have one, but it's just not really available yet. It's getting more and more so than when I started. In the last 6 months since COVID, I think people have invested in some machines, but hopefully that's going to keep getting. One of my other favorites for, let's say, the shoulder or general that I know a number of your clients have used is the PEMF, or pulse electromagnetic field therapy. And there's all different types of that, anywhere from little home units to mine's. I've got like 4 different high-powered units, and it actually increases the permeability of the cell membrane. So it allows the oxygen to get in better, allows the waste products to get out of the cells better. And anytime you're increasing that circulation, you're going to decrease inflammation. And when you decrease inflammation, you're going to decrease pain, and you're going to start feeling better. There is a lot of science, even domestic studies showing, and I'm in the process of adding a lot of those the medical research to my website so people can see about it. But it's still considered alternative health. The FDA has approved some things and made it FDA approved, but it's very specific on a specific type of injury or whatever. But it's a great cellular exercise device is how it's marketed in the realm of things. I also have Spot Cryo, where they use liquid nitrogen, and it's like an ice pack on steroids. I can freeze a shoulder. I can start at like negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and it just in 3 to 4 minutes time, I can really have that joint really frozen. And we keep moving it, and it just uses the liquid nitrogen gas. Then I've got a full body cryo chamber where you stand in, and it's basically like a ice bath. You're in there in your whole body, being exposed to, I usually put people about negative 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're in there for a maximum of 3 minutes, and you feel very exhilarated when you get out.
That you do.
It feels really good, and it's the same as like a dry heat versus the humid heat. Gotcha. That dry cold doesn't seem. I do ice baths as well, but I'd much rather do a 3-minute cryo treatment in negative 200 than I would an ice bath at 32 degrees for the same amount of time. It's
trying to get in there. I've tried it before. It's not fun trying to get into that ice bath.
No, but they do great job. And there's mixed research as to which is better. I think they complement each other between the ice bath and the cryo chamber because of how quickly one will cool versus the other. But there's a lot that it's a great thing. I don't have that many people except the athletes doing it during the winter, because who wants to come in and be at negative 200 and then go out to negative 40 outside. But when things start warming up, I get a lot more people. But during the winter, I get a lot of the basketball players and stuff, because even because when you're working out, you're tearing those muscle fibers, you're tearing them down, and then that recovery time is what's so important to reheal it. So there's been a lot of medical research that they actually now are not going directly into the cryo chamber after the training workout, because it's decreasing the amount of progress they're making with their lifts or whatever. So they're saying, 3 to 4 hours post-workout is a good time to do the cryo chamber, just because it's not inhibiting all of your work from the workout.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been hearing about that recently. I've seen a couple people doing podcasts on it. Who knows? It's like how much study is it's. You'd have to need a lot of studies to make sure that was correct or not. That's the one thing. It's one person says one thing, one person says the other. It all depends on what was their whole overlay on what they were doing their study on.
Exactly. And what they're trying to accomplish out of it.
Yep. So I also know you have like all these different pods too. So what is like going, I know it's like you have an infrared one and you had a moisture one type thing. I probably said that wrong, but can you talk about that?
Sure. I've got basically one is similar to a sauna. I've got an actual workout sauna that's I can put 3 spin bikes in there. So you can do a spin workout. There's a TV in there so you can do a simulated hot yoga. You can do any number of things in the heat in that sauna. Then if you're really hardcore, you can actually do altitude training in there as well. But then the pods is simply your head stays out of the sauna pod, and your body from your neck down is inside a red light and sauna pod. And it also has the table that you're laying on has vibration. So it's kind of like a vibration plate that you can adjust the vibration amount. You can adjust the temperature, anything from a nap setting where it's just a nice, warm, gentle, setting to, a full out infrared sauna setting where, you're in there and just dripping a sweat. A typical session on that is like 30 minutes, but the nap setting's like 15. So you can just come in and do a nice relaxation. So you get all the benefits of the infrared sauna, you're detoxing, loosening up the muscles, warming them up. Then I've got the hydropod, which is basically the same as a steam bath. So it's a vibratory bed in there again. You control that and you control the temperature, but it's just done with steam, which is really nice when your skin is dry or anything like that, because it just bakes that moisture into it. The nice thing about it is a lot of people are have issues with claustrophobia, and with the claustrophobia of being in a pod, or you're out of the pod because it's your head is staying out the entire time. So that's one of the nice things with doing that. Then in like the dry pod, we also have it set up so it's got to an oxygen concentrator, so it's blowing additional oxygen inside the body and around the face. And then you can also put essential oils. It's got going across the Himalayan salt stone if you're wanting some of that type of stuff as well. So there's a lot of things that you can add to that, as well as just sitting in a sauna or sitting in a steam bath. And it's a lot more comfortable than doing, sitting on a bench, because you're in a nice padded, contoured bed that can work as a vibration plate as well.
Nice. You were talking about the altitude mass thing. Can you elaborate on that? Because I know you talk about doing it with people that are getting ready for triathlons, for the mountains, stuff like that. But can you tell the audience a little bit?
Sure. I've got two different types of the altitude. One is what they call adaptive contrast oxygen. And what that is we work with a oxygen concentrator and a oxygen or an altitude generator. And what that does is, so I can flip a switch and I can take it from basically having 95% oxygen down to about 12 to 14, which is basically 10,000 feet.
Ooh.
And by switching back and forth, we can, by switching back and forth, you can basically like circuit training the cardiovascular system. So by doing that is, I'll hyperoxygenate them, and we'll really build up a high percentage of oxygen. We'll put the oxygen saturation on their fingers so we can keep track of it. And then we will drop them down to, depending if it's an elite athlete, we may drop them their PSO2 or their amount of oxygen in their system way down. Somebody that's, having medical issues, we may not drop it as far. But, so we can simulate being in Colorado at 10,000 feet. So you're getting all the advantages of doing a training at altitude, but then by switching it back to high oxygen, you can do a quick recovery and then go right back to altitude. So you can train longer. Then I also have an altitude tent where I can take that all the way up to 21,000 feet.
Who's doing that?
So yeah, by doing that, we can, really simulate the oxygen, and that's strictly at the elite type level at that. But with the adaptive contrast, we use that in conjunction with the PEMF, and I'm actually part of a study where we've done some concussion protocols where we hyperoxygenate the brain, and then because same as, like a hyperbaric chamber, which I do have one of those as well. But with the oxygen, with the exercise, when you're exercising with that oxygen, you're forcing, kind of like a tree root, when you're starving a body for oxygen, you're opening up all those different pathways, same as a tree root's trying to.
Sorry.
That's all right. So now that, then when you flip it to that high concentration of oxygen, all those new red blood cells, all those new pathways are open, and it's really forcing oxygen into areas that aren't normally oxygenated near as well. So, I mean, I've got geriatric, older people that use it just to feel a lot better. And this can be anything from doing, a rock climbing wall to a treadmill to a spin bike to anything from one of those like hand wheels if that's all you can do. You just need something to start building up that cardiovascular system. So, it works very, very well, both for the athletic training standpoint and just a general health standpoint.
Awesome. Um, since COVID started, I know a lot of kids that thankfully they've been able to still keep going. So we've been making sure their muscles are strong enough, especially for back of the leg, stuff like that. What's been the common injuries you've been seeing coming in from the sports industry?
What I'm seeing a lot with sports with post-COVID is everybody was very sedentary for, all these months. And then they're trying to jump back in and start training at the level of where they were. And so I'm seeing a lot of overuse injuries, just not building up that base, starting, there again, that's the reason I'm so adamant to try and get people under good training versus some of these coaches that get their certificate in a weekend and now all of a sudden they're an expert.
Yep.
And so, I see a lot of overuse and overtraining where they're not giving the body time to recover. They're not letting the body, they're not working all the auxiliary muscles. They're just hitting the main ones. And so they're not building up any of those stabilizer muscles, or the other thing I'm seeing a lot of is, they're all doing all push exercises and no pull. So, their backside is completely weak. And so, it takes a lot for me then to loosen it up, but it goes right back into dysfunction if they're not under proper training or not following a good training plan to be able to do a well-rounded. But yeah, overuse is probably what I'm seeing the most right now.
I know like especially from the girls' sports, listening to some of my girls, like the ACL and meniscus knee injuries have skyrocketed through the roof. I mean, you can see in the professional sports too, as
Right.
like the injuries have gone up through the roof. Like you said, sedentary for so long and then go right into it with not working their way up.
The other thing, is that I'm seeing, and I mean, I know that you offer a lot of cross training, is people at such a young age now are trying to be so sport specific. When you and I were in sports, everybody was a 3-sport athlete or at least 2-sport athlete. So you were using different muscles. Now, I mean, they start at, very young age and they're sport specific and never change. And so, they've just, unless they've got somebody that's doing cross training to work on other muscles, they're causing all kinds of overuse. I was talking to one of the collegiate Big Ten recruiters, and he's like, I in my athletes, he's like, I want to see more than just one sport because they're either getting burned out or they're having all kinds of injuries because it is strictly one motion.
That's true. It's like I've been to a couple of sports conferences where the strength conditioning coaches and the coaches come in there. They're talking about most of the D1s at a minimum want two different sports, not volleyball and basketball. They want something
Right.
that's going to be actually have more movement. That's something different. That is very true. I think Ohio State is requiring like 3, like the bigger sports teams, like you said, the bigger they are, they're like, we want diversity. It's like just because of what you're saying, overtraining, overuse of the same muscles over and over again. So for a last thing, if you could give one piece of advice to people to do anything to help them to just get themselves started and self stuff. I mean, don't do it without something stupid. It's like when some people will go, here, let me watch a video and I know how to do it. What's something that what piece of advice you'd give to the audience?
One of the things, and I was just looking to see if I had one handy, one of the, is just learning some gentle stretching, some myofascial type stretching. I use like a 4-inch ball. Here, let me grab it real quick. You know, just a general like 4-inch soft play type ball. And you can put that on your shoulder and then lay on it. You can put it up against the wall. And it's very gentle. I use a lot with lacrosse balls.
Mhm.
They work really good, but they're too forceful on some areas. This thing is great in like the psoas area. You know, you can lay on the floor, put this in there, put it on your TFL on your side. You can put it on your glutes. But, you know, something this simple is so much better. And, you know, just lay on it for like 5 minutes and let your body absorb around it. Don't aggressively do that or get the, you know, the big, you know, impact massagers. Because I see a lot of people actually hurt themselves with those because, you know, yeah, they're just trying to no pain, no gain, and they're just killing themselves. Whereas like a simple myofascial release with like the ball, just, you know, lay on that, put it with there and hold it for 5-10 minutes. And you'll just feel your body melt around that. And I mean, just move it around the body, find those hot spots. And just finding those hot spots, you know, work wonders. Because I mean, I do a lot of teaching for that after I work on somebody and I get them, you know, I give them their homework and say, you know, you really need to do this just to, you know, and do it before bed, do it after your workout, because it's important to do it while you're warm. You know, back when we were in school, you know, you always stretched cold to begin with, you know, and so just keep doing that stretching. And, you know, if everybody stretched out really well, my business would be cut in half.
Well, and that's what I mean. I preach to all the kids here, the myofascial release, because prior to training and then you stretch out after, right after you do the release muscles, and then later after you're finished. And like you said, before bed, I tell people, I go, when you're sleeping is when your body's rebuilding. It does nothing. It can't do it. It can't fully go repair until you stop moving. And so I completely agree with that. Kevin, thank you for joining us today. For the audience, I'll have Kevin's information for you to get a hold of him. Like I said, phenomenal guy. He knows his stuff. If you feel that traditional medicine doesn't seem like it's getting for you, or you want to try something that is, well, maybe a little different, it actually works. I've sent a lot of athletes that have gotten injured while they're playing, gone to them, and 1 to 2 sessions, and they're feeling better than they ever actually before they got injured. So Kevin, again, thank you very much. And thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Chris. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us for Bare Essentials on Fitness today. If you like it, subscribe to a podcast, as well as share it out to others that may be in the same interest. At any point in time, leave a question. Hopefully we can get back to you and give you the information that you're looking for. Again, thank you very much. This is Coach Chris from Bare Fitness.